Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Here's the first expansion for Edo, Tokyo 1603 to 1868. It's a big queen box. It in no way needed to be this big. You can open it up, you get a rule book, and what's interesting with this rule book is going to come in 5 different languages, which I don't really like. Usually, Queen puts these aside. Now, they're the best rule books in the industry, if you ask me. I open up to your language, you're going to have a little bit here. I wish they had a picture of the components, but they put it in each section, which is really nice. And then the explanation, everything is always color-coded, plenty of pictures and examples. No issues whatsoever. The rule book, Queen is the industry standard to me. Everything is punched out here. You're going to have these little cardboard boards. Everything is really nice cardboard. Components for Queen is fantastic. You'll probably ditch this box. You're going to get a nice little bag here of this coloring. Bunch of wooden little pieces that you're going to have. But you'll probably ditch this and just put everything in the main box. There's some baggies included in here. Great. No issues with me whatsoever. First thing I'll just quickly point out is you're going to have enough components here. This is not all of them. But you have enough components here to play a 5th player. So if you were interested in playing this game with 5th players, you're going to have extra resources. You're going to have extra purple, and the extra boards, extra resources, and extra coins. It'll all be included in here. You can now play with 5 players to your heart's desire. This is a modular expansion. So you can include as many of these or a few as you want. This is probably the easiest one. This is going to give you a reminder, an extension to your board. It's a game summary, and you will get the temple. So now you can build the temples outside. It will cost you 2 wood and a rice in order to build it. It'll give you a PowerPoint, so it helps you win the game. And it'll allow you to move a samurai on that road at no cost as long as there is a path from the temple. It's very easy to include this one in. I would probably include this one in every single time. Very simple. It's not going to add any complexity, and people understand it. It makes the game a little bit more forgiving, if you ask me. The second module is going to be the privileges. Very easy. I like adding this one in quite a bit. Very easy to do. Most people can understand it during perform actions. If you can perform one of these, the Shogun is giving you things that they want to accomplish. If you can do the top, give it up, then you will gain the bottom of the privilege. When you get this done, or let's say you did this one, you would shift everything down, and then a new one would come out. So you give up the top to the Shogun, and you get the privilege at the bottom. As you can tell, it can mix it up. So the values, some of these will be really good or really bad, or maybe in the middle, but every time you play, it'll be a different combination because of the way the tiles come up. Give the top, get the bottom. Very easy for people to understand. So the last module, the third module will include these 3 Ronin meeples. This is probably the most complex and slows down the game a little bit, and these Ronin tokens. So basically, these will be put out on the board, and on your turn, before you pre-plan, you can move it. And you can, if 2 of these are on the same space on the board, then you have to move the other one. So you can move these around the board, and what they're going to do is very simple. If this is on a resource spot, then it reduces production. So you will not be able to produce there. Now, if they're in a city, it has no effect. If 2 of them are in a city, you can't build there. If 3 are there, it cannot build, and no income will come. Very easy. But you can move these if you can bring samurais there. So if you have more samurais than there are Ronin, you can move one of these out into a different location. And as you move them, you're going to get these tokens here that will be worth power points at the end of the game. So it's going to add a little bit of wrinkle to it. A little bit of take that, a way to block other people and to do other things, maybe set yourself up. But it can slow it down and make it a little more strategic. I wouldn't add this one in until you're able to have played a few times and kind of know what people are doing and they understand the game a little bit better. So what do I think about Edo Expansion 1 overall? It's not a bad one. I mean, really, if you want the 5th player, it's a no-brainer. If you have 5 to play with and you want to play Edo, then you would buy this sight unseen. It'll be worth it, I guess, for the expansion, depending on how much you have to pay for it. Now, the Gen expansion is pretty easy to add in. I think it adds a little bit to make the game easier. Where the Ronin is going to make it a little bit more complex of a game, make it a little bit harder for people. I would only add this in once you understand the game pretty easily. And the one I would probably add in every time is the demand track. So the modular tokens where you have the demand and the prestige, I think that's pretty easy. Gives you something else to plan for. It does up it a tad bit. Not too hard. Most people will understand that if you give this up, or you could even punt it if you wanted to. So these 2, probably easiest, the middle, and probably the hardest one to add in. Gives you some variety, adds some spice to the game. I think you might like that quite a bit. I don't play the base game enough. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, to want to keep this. So I'm going to go ahead and purge this. It's not a game that I'm going to be drawn to or be playing enough to want to keep. But if you do like the base game, this will definitely be something you want to jump into rather quickly and add some of these in. I think it spices things up and fixes some things that people might have a problem with, like stone and moving around in the base game. This will kind of even some of that out with a little bit more complexity, but not a tad bit, especially if you're just adding in the Gen 1 and maybe the 5th player.